loving local music as always. The lovely Adora featuring Kalux, King of Ochiwarongo with Touch. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Mix. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to the studio.
Always good to be here.
Waar was je, Yuka?
I had work.
Die mensen is kwaad voor ons. We stuck with you two ugly guys. Where's Maria? Nee.
Ze was Finland too.
Maria, it always feels like we lose a limb. Or I feel like it when one of you guys are not here.
Yeah, it's the same when you're not here.
I was sitting here, you know what? This is not a position yesterday. Yeah. So, she's not here. Yeah, okay, yeah. It feels weird.
Toe kom hom Chris in en hy is nog leliker as ons albei.
Is nie maklik geweest. Is nie maklik.
Too much testosterone in the studio.
Yeah. Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining the live stream on Informanté's Facebook page. I see a couple of you are already coming through with your good morning comments. Start the show, Red. Say, you guys are very impatient. But anyway, for this morning, we want to talk about the state of our democracy. In particular, we want to talk about
youth participation.
Yes, politics and the youth. And where is the disconnect there? Why are the youth not interested when they are an integral part of the electorate? Where are we going wrong? Are we messaging it wrong to them? Let's start there, Neville. What do you think? You're not the youth anymore, but why do you think there's a disconnect?
Wie het vir jou gesê I'm not the youth?
It is the youth.
Who decided
According to the youth leagueist.
Yeah.
No, guys, I was really just thinking that Maria Cube is. I'm looking at, when I told my sons yesterday, or not yesterday, I told them well in advance over the weekend. Okay, guys, the President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Hage Geingob, will be having a chat with you guys on Monday at the National Theatre of Namibia. You guys need to go and listen to what the President has to say. My sons looked at me like, said, Daddy, what must we go and look, to go and listen to what? No, but guys, it's important that you guys need to know what's the current affairs in the country and how the president sees things, etc. But and this is what my son told me. Okay, Daddy, don't start again. Daddy, if you're gonna tell me one more time about you being tear gassed and how Emmanuel Shifidi was shot on a Sunday in 1989. Daddy, I'm tired of your struggle stories. I don't want to listen to your struggle stories anymore. You cannot define your politics as to what you went through. And I really had to sit down and I was like, it says eintlik waar nie. Because I don't know how many people who log in now, who sees our show or who listen to us, knows the history of Emmanuel Shifidi.
Please don't start.
You understand? Kyk, verstaan jy?
That's because when you start, that's a whole 1 hour session.
Exactly. So, and that's the thing. And it's not our children's narrative. We need to find a way to get our kids or get the youth to be interested in politics.
To say it's not our kids' narrative, yes, you're correct. But I also think like history is a very crucial part of our processes. We can't really focus on a future, on just the future, without understanding the history and the past. So there should definitely be a way that the youth is engaged in understanding where we are coming from, where we are, and possibly where we're going. The disconnect is because, like I said, it becomes a 1 hour lecture or a 2 hour lecture.
Yeah.
About Emmanuel Shifidi.
About Emmanuel Shifidi or exile or, and for the youth there, there's a disconnect there because the interest is not so much on what has happened. I mean, a lot of them, I'm not myself, but like a lot of them are privileged enough to have been born in an independent Namibia. So maybe they don't understand those struggles. And when you're born in an independent Namibia, you have the privilege to just not care about history, right? Because you're focused on what can government do for me now? Where is my future? And it's understandable that they're in those situations. But I think there's a way that political institutions can bridge the gap and appeal to more youths. I don't think that they're not interested at all. I think it's changing. I mean, yesterday's engagement with with the president, all the seats were filled. So there's clearly an interest there.
It's growing, yes.
Maybe some were filled by people that are not youths, but the point is it was a room full of people. People came there.
Did you attend?
No, I didn't. I had to work, but I was live streaming.
Live streaming, yeah.
So I was live streaming it, and I was watching. I think my only struggle watching it was the realization that the youth doesn't really prepare well for stuff like that. Because if you're being given an opportunity to engage with the president, I expect you to have hard-hitting questions that you can kind of get to the crux of the matter. And a lot of the things they asked were things that you can Google.
Ne?
Yeah, you can Google.
So they weren't asking questions that really the president and the president only can answer, basically.
Yeah, well, there were some important, crucial questions about youth unemployment and that stuff, which is great. So we have to have those conversations. But it made me realize that they don't understand the full scope of what's going on. Because even if you're going to ask a question about youth unemployment, I need you to tie it to our current situation, not just have it as a blanket question.
Yeah.
Like, come with percentage. Yeah. This is where we are. This is where we were. When you took over office, this was the percentage of unemployment. We are currently at this rate of unemployment. The
substance.
Yeah, you have to. Yes, they should all. Your questions should be well researched, and there should be substance, so that you're not just happy to get a mic and ask some question that doesn't completely connect. So that was, I think, my disappointment listening yesterday. Not everybody, obviously, but a lot of questions I just felt like some of them didn't quite hit the mark. That was my feeling. I don't know if anybody else shared that sentiment.
Yeah, there are a couple of guys who are already commenting on yesterday's talk by the president with the youth. Of course, if you were there or just if you are eligible to vote in this country generally, you can also let us know through the comments on our live stream. What do you think? What is your take on politics? Are you part of the youth, or are you part of Neville's demographic? And what do you think the disconnect is? Right.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add to that. At the previous elections, we know that the youth participation was very low. Very low. Almost scary low. I'm seeing the youth a little bit more energized, but you see, even them being energized is I would say a little too late, because during registration process, I would constantly on social media, I would be talking about, did you register? Are you a registered voter? Guys, go and register. It's important. Go get your voter's card. Be part of, you need to go speak at the polls. So that's when your voice is heard. Go register. And a lot of people are like, why should I go register? That I don't really like the candidates. This is now obviously before Itula came into the fray. I don't really like the candidates. What's the point? Same old. Swapo is gonna win. The president's gonna win. Things are just going to be the same. And that for me is very disheartening, to feel like you don't even have power when you actually have a lot of it. And then Itula emerged, who we now know is largely being supported by the youths, as we call them. I don't know if I'm, according to textbook, I am, because it's under 35 years. That's still considered youth, and I fall in that demographic. We now know that that's majority of his support base. But some of them don't have voters' cards. In fact, to the point where they're asking ECN to allow them
to register.
and I just thought, you see, this is how you play yourself. Because if you had just registered because you don't know what's going to come, imagine and this is also sometimes what the youth don't realize, even if you just register, if let's say 5,000 youths, I'll give a number out of my head. Let's say 5,000 youths register, and it's on record by the ECN, and only 50 show up. That non-participation is in itself showing something. It means that you are, what is the word when you stay away from votes as...
Voter apathy.
Yeah. No, there's another word. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. It means that you're also taking a stance. Like, I have a voter's card, but I don't have confidence in any of the parties and the presidential candidates. So I'm not going to vote, but I have my voter's card.
Yeah.
So that will also count in the long run, because then the youth is forced to engage and say, we registered 5,000 voters and only 50 came to vote. Why? And then the youth can say, it's because of A, B, C, D. So that's why I'm saying the youth, sometimes we need to realize our power and exercise our democratic right. That means go register. And if you mean you just don't show up, that within itself, that boycotting election process by not going to vote, that in itself is taking a position on the political front.
So I feel one of the issues is many of the youth do not really understand how the voting ties in with like policy decisions and all these things that do affect them eventually. So is it maybe a problem with the political parties who are not messaging their whatever it is, their manifestos or whatever, especially during elections, to these guys in a way that kind of energizes them? Like for instance, Neville, your narrative, one of the ways that you would like to get your kids to go vote is to tell them about your struggle that you went through, why it is important today that they are able to vote and they should exercise that right. But then they look at you as like, hier kom die toppie weer met die man as jy feed is a story.
Yeah, the thing is just that what the youth need to understand today is that when the will to change this country came about, whether it was in the 50s, when our founding father was a youth, it was because the youth at that specific time decided this is what we're going to be doing.
Uprising, yeah.
The uprising of the 50s and the 60s, which led to the liberation struggle, was driven by the youth. From 1985 onwards, when I was 16, 17, that whole movement, NANSO, SWAPO Youth League, etc., was driven by the youth. It is important for the youth of today to understand whatever it is, whether it's the status quo that they want to keep or the change that they would like to have, needs to be driven by them. It's not about being, if you disagree with SWAPO, then I don't want to be part of politics. Sometimes people, I think sometimes, Maria, that is probably what the youth thinks.
No, that is,
because I don't agree with SWAPO, so I don't want to have anything to do with politics.
Yeah.
And that is what is wrong.
Yeah, you take away your own power.
You take away your own power. You need to be part, you need to have an understanding of politics.
That's what I was asking then should the other parties, I mean, notwithstanding, of course, the ruling party, but should political parties then step up their messaging to try and target some of these guys? Because nobody seems to be trying to reach this large demographic of new voters, especially.
Maria, I just want to ask, for instance, with the new results that filtered through last weekend, or last week, Itula and the president is completely running away with these votes.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's an waar swart boy. Waar is Vanani? Where are all these other candidates? What are these political parties doing in their communities to get, to create voter awareness for their party.
Yeah, the reason I don't want to put it as political parties, I use the term political institutions.
Yes.
Is because outside the parties there are other institutions that are political, driving the messages.
Yeah.
And those that, you are very correct, do need to do a better job of bridging the gap between politics and youth, and involving the youth in its policy and just engagement. Ultimately, I think the problem is also largely in politics right now is the youth don't feel represented, and that can be a problem. Like, how, if you are still stuck on apartheid and the liberation struggle, understandable. These things meant something to the older generation.
Yeah.
It means something more. It meant something more to my grandparents. It meant something little less, but more with less than my grandparents, but more than me with my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it will probably mean less for my kids
Than it does for you.
Exactly. So it goes. But a lot of the messaging so far has been liberation struggle. And you don't... One thing the youth know is now, all they know is peace and freedom, right?
Yes.
You're born in an independent country. So since my birth till now, I have lived in an independent country. We are free. There is no war.
Yeah.
The youth right now, their main concern is just prosperity.
Yeah.
That's all they want. Prosperity, that means jobs, that means land, that means whatever. Opportunities for them to either do business, create employment, be employed, or whatever. They're looking at prosperity. So they don't have fear of the same fears. It's like the elderly. Why do the elderly, for example, vote largely SWAPO? It's not because they're looking for prosperity. It's because they're scared of war.
The party that liberated them.
Yes, that's a party that liberated them, and that's the party they believe will maintain peace and stability in a country because they lived through it. So, of course, already then, what they want, they just want continued peace and stability. The youth think there's already peace and continued stability, whether it's true or false. They want prosperity.
Yeah.
So it's two different demographics with two different needs. How do you bridge it? For government and for political parties or political organization is to engage and empower the youth in believing that there is a bright future ahead for them, that there is prosperity in the waiting, that we are making inroads, that the situation improves by the year, and so forth. That's how you get to their heart. But if if they don't see themselves in our political leaders, there's already a disconnect.
True.
But Maria, Cubase, maybe you guys, I'm just thinking out loud now. Maybe our politicians of today, and I'm talking about my age upwards, needs to be conditioned to say that, if you have this public platform, especially when you speak to the youth, this narrative, you need to stay away from this specific narrative. Don't ever talk about the liberation struggle, for instance. Let's not talk about tear gas of Emmanuel Shifidi.
Because it doesn't work.
It does not work. I don't want to know about 1966. I don't want to know about who was a puppet in 88.
Or the Lubango dungeons.
Or the Lubango dungeons. Maybe it's a discussion that we need to have with all politicians to say, can you stay away from this narrative if you want the youth to be part of the future of this country?
That's going to be a bit difficult because there's still a demographic to whom that kind of message appeals to. Yeah. So it becomes a thing of understanding your audience, understand who you're talking to,
exactly,
and what you're trying to get or what you're trying to achieve with your speech or your rally or whatever.
Yeah, like if you go to a nana and you have largely elderly people there, that message works.
Yes.
So they want to hear that stuff. liberation struggle so that they can feel it in their souls, you know.
Tuli,
You know.
Yeah.
But if you are at an NTN and you've called on the youth to engage with you, then maybe not so much.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, it is about studying your audience and understanding who you're speaking to and understanding that once you start doing that, and I mean, I saw a lot of, you know, like that irritation when there was kind of starting to go into that direction.
That's it.
Yeah, there was just like, people were just, they were just not ready to go into that. You know, and I even saw it even with the presidential debate. When the Swanu leader, the Swanu leader kept trying to get into that. At some point,
saying what now? Like what?
talk about, no, you need to remember where Swanu is the oldest political party. And they're trying to give the history. People are like, answer the question. Answer it. You know, there were just people, and there were people next to me that were like, answer the question. The question is about the Chinese, you know. The guy's like, oh, wait, I'm coming there.
I remember.
I'm coming there. You know, and so that disconnect is you need to assess your audience and ultimately give them correct messaging, you know, so that there's a disconnect. But I will say that I am seeing more youths getting involved in politics. There seems to be more passion there. The only problem is a lot of it is from fake news. It's not well researched, their position. It's just kind of going with the flow. And I think that's where we do ourselves a disservice. It's like you should understand policies, read the manifestos. When you go there, say your manifesto stated this. There was a shortfall in implementation. What are you going to do about it? How are we going to bridge this gap? Come with information. Be equipped. There's nothing more better than knowledge. Like just make yourself knowledgeable on issues and you will be fine. Yeah. You know?
I think most of these guys, there are a lot of them who are exercising their right to vote for the first time during this election. And I'm sure, you know, they're going to find their feet and they're going to grow for 2024. But I think also the whole sort of alienating that demographic by the insisting on talking about a liberation struggle and pre-independence Namibia as a reason for people voting for you. I think that has also sort of started to backfire on some political parties because obviously these guys will grab onto anything else that sort of appeals to them, even if they are supposed to be your voters. But anyway, let's check out some comments before they run away from us. You can let us know what you think, politics and the youth. Madden Taekwon saying morning, y'all. Say morning to Madden.
Morning.
Claudia Shumba also saying good morning. Fabianis Narip. Start the show re etse. Ons het begin. Katrina Ukongo, you are the first media started to inform public every second hour. Okay, thank you, I guess.
Thank you.
Bless Stanley Kalomo, Moro Moro, what a wonderful Tuesday morning. Jesuka in Noordene.
Stanley, yeah.
Steaks. Oh, steaks.
There's that big rain dabua. Morning, Miriam. Welcome back from Paulus in Dapewa.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Dino Ramos. Welcome back from Iceland, Maria.
Yo! I went to go get my coins.
Tenga saying morning crew. My favorite show, good morning guys from Maggie Cool Girl. Stay cool. Eken Kaishirokere. What do you guys think about yesterday's youth chat? Me personally, I don't think that guy is serious, the president. You will address the president as the president, not as that guy.
Excellency.
His Excellency.
That guy.
Look, here's the thing. It's easy to do those things, to be disrespectful towards the office. Forget who's sitting in office. Because you are in disagreement with a person who's currently holding the position. But imagine if you voted your president in and then we all kept calling him that guy and Daichak. And it's disrespectful. Respect the office. Yeah. John Shombe, Maria, you look white this morning.
Yeah.
Where you?
Iceland doesn't have sun.
Come on, were you in the clouds all those days? Dino Ramos, the zombies have been identified and positioned. It is known where they will sit. The questions they will ask are already prepared. The answers are ready. That engagement with the man is Harambe Youth Choir thing. Opinions.
Now, wait. Who's that?
That is Dino Ramos.
Now, Dino, where were you yesterday? Were you there to ask questions?
Did you ask?
Did you ask any questions?
Yeah.
Did you bring it to them? Did you?
Yeah, look, end of the day, I've heard this, by the way, that, they shipped in, like, buses of whatever.
Buses.
This conspiracy theories. I don't necessarily believe them because there were also questions there that were not necessarily pro-SWAPO, you know, people that wanted. But also, let's not forget that when this call was made, obviously the first people that took up the opportunity were people that maybe have a bit of an allegiance to the president and wanted to understand because they believe that he's going to be the president in the next term and that SWAPO is going to be in power. So they just wanted to know, like, okay, what can we expect from you? Whereas in the naysayers, they were like, we're not going there. So obviously you're already doing yourself a disservice because you didn't attend those. But then you want to be irritated on the live stream and be like, those people, why are they clapping? Well, why didn't you go so that there's no clapping?
Yeah.
This is a rare opportunity. Like for us young guys, you know how rare it is to get a chance to engage the sitting president.
Yeah.
I've been alive for 33 years. I've only seen Tata Sem on the stage.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it's a rare occurrence to actually sit there and engage this person in conversation. So when you do, there has to be some substance, and you can't be sitting on the sidelines and mouthing off instead of being there and actually taking part in our democratic process and being part of the change that you want to see.
Yeah. And sorry, just to add that, let's also not forget that this is the first time in an independent Namibia it's being done where you can engage the president like that. The previous two presidents never did it. They went to rallies, said what they wanted to say, or they stood on a stage, addressed the room and left. There was never a time for like question and answer. So whatever else your feelings of the current president is, you do have to at least give him kudos for that. That he constantly has those engagements. Even from the media, we actually have better access to this president than we did the previous two, where he calls media engagements and we ask.
There's no Hailulu. Lerato Roy is saying, good morning, crew. Alfredo Jack Evangelista, boy Neville. The history is there by the museum. Let's look back on our past, but let's not dwell forever on the past because that will hinder our future. Alwyn Grom. Hey, the Lanis are also partaking. Democracy. The disconnect lies in the arena of governance. All right, politics is not needed in modern society anymore. We need impeccable governance. All right, holding on to power, the politicians do more politicking and less governing, and the youth are left with. There's an emoji there. I don't know what it is because I left with the emoji.
Now the question is, like Alvin is asking there,
or stating,
can you really separate politics from
governance
or from the social aspect of things that we do on a daily basis?
I wish it didn't, but I wish we could, but unfortunately, and you see it even in terms like the SWAPO-led government, or how the SWAPO people will be like, we are in power.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, clearly there should be a separation. There should be because it's very self-serving when there isn't. If you're going there, yes, of course you're going there on the ticket of SWAPO, yes, that's fine. But once you're in office, you shouldn't do things for your party, or you shouldn't be seen as a political head.
Yeah, you shouldn't be partisan.
Yeah, you need to remember that we don't actually elect our cabinet. They're appointed. We elect a president, we vote at the National Assembly, they get seats in cabinet, and then that is from who the president picks from. To add to that, we don't even draw the list of the party list. We have no say there. So if you're given a minister, that's your minister. Not because you wanted that minister, but that's the minister you're given. But it would be, there should be a clear separation when a person is serving government or in cabinet and what they do in the ruling party. There should be a clear distinction. But unfortunately, a lot of times, not so much.
Here in Namibia, like we definitely do not distinguish between the two.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
We don't even distinguish between the affairs of the party and the affairs of the state.
No, we don't.
So a perfect example is, of course, the party headquarters, which is not being built with state funds. Mind you, it's being built with party funds.
Yeah, but that's not a really fair assessment, because based on the seats you get in the National Assembly, parties get money, which is from taxpayers. We now know, for example, when they increased the seats in Parliament during the 2014-2015, the chunk that SWAPO got, for example, was larger than all the parties put together, including the presiding year.
That was big.
It was huge. We're talking about 162 million, I think, or something like that.
Yes, they had a huge victory, a landslide victory.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is it was a 600% increase from the previous elections of money that they got. 600% increase. But this is money that came from taxpayers. So it's not it goes to the party, but it's from taxpayers. So it's not it's not fair to say that isn't our money. That is our money.
Not necessarily.
What do you mean?
It's our money.
Like the money that, let's say, for instance, the money that the party is using to go around for rallies, or the money that they're using to pay for the building. I mean, if the party were to lose power, for instance, in this election, that building, the construction would not stop. They wouldn't be, okay, there's no more state funds.
You don't know, because they wouldn't have the money.
But you also don't know the contrary. So I would rather assume that they are. Otherwise, then we are calling them corrupt.
No, we're not calling that. It's the processes. What I'm saying is it's also very unfair to say that's not our money. Because what I'm trying to say is the Constitution allows for you to get money based on the seats you have. And that money doesn't come from outside. It comes from taxpayers.
No, but what I'm saying is, look, by your logic, the party makes its own money in its own ways. Also, through fundraising, through businesses that they have established.
For campaigning, yes.
Yes. Look, by that logic, that means the party, when it's in power, cannot do anything, because otherwise it would be construed as using state funds for party purposes. Obviously, if there's money in the party coffers. For instance, if PDM decided they wanted to build a new headquarters, funded by whoever, whether it's their own money or they're getting funding from somewhere else, we wouldn't have an issue.
No, I think you are comparing it to an opposition party. Let me say, for example, PDM got what, 3 million, I think, at the previous for their seats in Parliament,
which they're using for the guys in Parliament, I would assume.
No, they use for their programs, to run their programs. That means to go into the communities.
Like governance, basically. They use it for governance.
For their governance purpose, like to go into the communities, to engage the communities, whatever. Obviously, we now know that the less money you have, the harder it is also to do outreach programs, right? Because that stuff requires money.
Yes, of course.
All right? So my argument still stands that it is not fair to say that's not our money. I'm not saying they don't get from donors, donor money as well. Every party has a right to do that. But the point is, there's a chunk of our money that goes there constitutionally, not illegal, not by corruption. It's in the Constitution. But still, it is from taxpayers. Yeah. It's still from... what they do with it is up to them. Of course not. I'm not saying we should dictate what they want to do with it. I'm still saying it's not an unfair statement to say that came from our pockets as well.
No, but like the party can turn around and say, look, the money that we got from the state is what we use for governance. The money we're using to build our building is privately raised money through party structures or whatever you may have. So like producers telling us we're off topic. So basically the point I was trying to make is we do need to separate between state and party. That's also why we sort of get stuck with this this is our Namibia and statements like that, because we do not separate the two. Sort of the party sort of morphs into becoming the state. Khan, you are not a youth.
but again, to come back to and Sammy, thank you very much for bringing us.
But you must understand that sometimes the topics have to go there to come back.
Sometimes it is there.
The thing is, I think that's very annoying for people out there, especially when they speak to the hardcore cadres. Whenever you have an argument about corruption or about state funds being squandered or about this or that ever, you always had this narrative for a very long time. If it almost seems like when a cadre is in a corner, the one question they come up with, where were you in 1966? That and it's been a running joke, in society for a very long time. If you question, where were you in 1966? My son wouldn't know. My 22-year-old son wouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about if I say 1966. He knows from his history books that's more or less, the liberation war started. But he probably forgot about it already. So, and that's the thing that keeps our youth away from engaging in politics. Is this 66 narrative that we keep on force-feeding them.
The liberation struggle.
Stop.
All right, guys, let me try and do justice by you. I haven't really been reading your comments these days, so
please do.
So let me get back to that. Popas Popieni Shikongo. There was a guy who asked the question about the GDP thing, and the president said we are better than the US. I didn't watch the live stream myself, so I can't really comment on that. What was Katrina doing there? She's also a youth, Kaitan. Bradley Kuisem, morning guys. It was smart of the president to call the youth because he knew their knowledge is limited as they aren't well acquainted with politics, let alone the history of the nation, as opposed to inviting adults. All right, the questions were gonna make him restless in the seat.
Stop, ho. Stop, ho.
He did engage adults, just by the way.
But must stop net, ho. So now I'm asking the youth, on the back of that question. Why are you, the youth, not well acquainted with the information of the country? Please answer yourself out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
While you guys do that, I'm going to sit here and struggle to read the comments.
Yeah, read.
Alfredo Jack, I could not attend, but I expected questions like the drought relief money and who exactly is benefiting from that, because people are still not being assisted. All right? Kelly Gipetekwa. Most young did not register because there was no hope. All the hope came after when Dr. Itula comes in.
And that's a problem, I said.
You said that.
I said that's the problem.
Yes.
To feel like you should only go vote when there's candidates you want and not realizing the impact you can make by registering,
Yourselves.
even if it means then not going to vote after registering.
You need to understand. How many of you go to Home Affairs to go get a passport when you know full well you're not traveling anywhere out of Namibia?
But
Maar
then
jy gaan
jare.
haal die passport en jy hou hom. It's the same with the voter's card.
Yeah.
Just register and keep
Just
the
in
damn
case,
thing.
yeah.
Yes, you can use it as some identification form if you lose your ID, and it even looks like a driver's license. So if you get to the roadblocks late at night, it might get you out of a jam. Whatever, just get the damn card. Right? It doesn't hurt. Back to the messages, not messages, comments. Shitala. It was a boring dialogue. Abortion question ruined everything.
I'm actually glad for that abortion, but anyway.
Yeah. Marvin Richie Guamup. Namibia is better than the US, yet Namibia with very low population can't provide for the country. What am I trying to say? Government spoiled my thinking capacity. Oh, Kelly, I think as youths, we are lacking understanding of things, all right? Officials need to get out of their office and reach to the people to explain to them the importance of things such as having a voter's card. Like, look, you need to understand, right? Most of the politicians are going to come to you with an agenda, one way or the other, whether the agenda it benefits you or it does not benefit you. It is on you to inform yourself to be able to see the difference between somebody who's trying to, butter you up for elections and somebody who actually cares about the policies and the things that affect you. So you can't expect the politicians to be the ones who are coming out to come basically teach you about how a democracy works, guys. Come on.
Yeah, but I think this person is talking about political institutions. For
Institutions.
example, like EC, and it is their mandate and responsibility to educate the voters
Yes.
on the need for voting, the distinction between presidential elections and the National Assembly, the fact that people still conflate the two and mix them up. That is information that the ECN should make available. So I think this person is talking in about political institutions,
Yeah, like
not necessarily political
broadly.
parties.
Yes.
Yes, and that is important. Political institutions should mobilize better.
Of course. And like, I don't even want to get started on the ECN this morning. Kom ons los hulle maar net eers uit met hulle se EVMs. Alfredo just besig jong. Weet vir jou wat is die data gekoop? ACC had said the reason he could not investigate fish rot kingpins was because there were other ministers who were also directly involved in the kickbacks and did not want to cooperate. But now they are cooperating, and that is why their accounts have been put on ice. My question is, these ministers that are cooperating, are they also going to be investigated, or did they get a deal of who werd dit?
Who said that?
It's Alfredo.
Did he say the president said that?
No. He said the ACC, the head of the ACC, Paulus, no?
I didn't read that.
Yeah.
Seriously,
I'm also
Alfredo,
hearing it from you.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
I personally don't believe that their accounts were frozen, because I believe Colonel Detunga came out with a statement regarding that and said, as far as he knows, those accounts were never frozen.
Yeah, and Detunga, just also apart from being a police, the inspector general, because the police might not know that. The thing is, Detunga also sits, I believe, on the FIC. It's himself, Martha Imalwa, Paulus Noah, and so forth. They are part of FIC. So he should know that information. But I also can't dispute it, because the Namibian spoke to Noah that said that it's done. But also, if that was also true, it should be court records. And other papers would have picked up on it at least today and had it in the papers, and still no other paper has it. So at this point, I don't know what to believe. But also, well, why wouldn't you start with the person that apparently dispenses the money?
Yeah.
You know, you're going for two out of the four. Why not all four?
Exactly.
Okay, guys, let's not talk about fish rot. The fish is rotting.
Praat met jou brava, die goed se op die comments kom bring.
Nakale Gertrude Neville, you are right. Today, youth, they are just restless. And they are so lost, because if your country didn't have activities for youth, what kind of youth are you going to have? Okay, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Elanius Dinomupia says, yes, we need change, guys. Dino Ramos, hey man, PDM is supporting Itula and asking Itula supporters to vote for PDM for parliament.
I doubt it.
I hear that narrative now for the last week or so.
Never going to happen.
Yeah, you never know.
No, I think not with PDM, because it is the official opposition currently, and they will always look to maintain that position, if not in power, just the official opposition. So other smaller parties that maybe didn't think they have a good chance at getting a number of seats, like RP or
No,
NEFF.
but like for Benani, I'm sure he can recognize that Itula can possibly push up his seats in the National Assembly.
The only reason I would say that it's not because of what he said at the youth, the presidential debate, especially him and LPM, they called Itula arrogant for even asking for their support.
Yeah.
They said they've been there, they've been doing the work, there's no way that they would ever.
Yeah.
So just based on what he's already publicly said, and because PDM and LPM understand more than anybody that Itula is still SWAPO. And SWAPO is the people, the party they're competing against.
And Vanani is Herero. Moshe.
No, but
I must relinquish my position.
But you need to
come to you, Vambus.
You need to pick your battles. You're not competing against me, because I know I don't stand a chance at the presidency, but I can benefit from you in a way. In any case, that's not the debate we're having this morning. Alfredo, man. I'll read that one later. Swart Boy is coming from a party he has been part of for years. What difference will he bring with his new party? Because I believe his thinking and ideas still stem from SWAPO. So I won't be wasting my vote on him because he brings nothing new to the table. He is net altyd kwaad oor SWAPO se mense.
Wie is hy?
Swart boy.
Oh, swart boy. Oh.
Opinions. This is the only thing I can say. Edward Pandoleni Julius, it's true we need prosperity, and I fully agree there is less youth activities countrywide. Nothing much to keep youth active. Youth centers, white elephants. Look at youth services. It's useless, and the list is endless. That is why you must appreciate opportunities where you can engage with your leaders and ask them those types of questions. Rusa Shanika, history will never be erased. Youth has to know where we are coming from and heading to. Struggle has to be mentioned all the time. And that's why you will lose your votes. Nakale Gertrude, in those years we were in war with Boere, but we create activities. In our years, alcohol was not allowed at all. Today, 11-year-olds, they are Tompo drinkers. Those years, 1984, there was no Kambashus. Nee, man.
Daar was Kambashus.
Daar was Kambashus. Kambashus is long, young.
Verstaan?
They're older than prostitution.
Yes.
Yeah. Popas Popieni, answer the questions.
Huh?
Ek verstaan jou nie.
Nee, ons is nie die president.
Come again. Government must close Kambashus, and how are you going to feed the people who are making a living from there? There's always going to be, you're going to be a hero to some and a villain to some. So it's not one of those decisions that you just wake up and take. Yvette Groenewald van Beek. Hi, my people. The president did not answer the questions himself, but the advisors that was with him.
But he did say like he does a lot of consultations.
Yeah.
So if somebody is better equipped to answer, then that's what he said was going to happen.
Yes,
I think Quentin is doing basically also the same thing. Sometimes at QVR codes, if there are questions technically maybe regarding to sponsorships that he knows that I can answer better, and never verduidelik vir die mense daarso. Or if there are statistical questions that he knows, Des van Heerden, who's our analyst, he's in the audience. He said, Des, please just quickly just give an answer there.
Yeah.
So it's really normal to let
Pass the mic on.
Yeah.
Yes, you're not
Pass the
going
mic.
to stand there and try to be a one-man show. You see,
Exactly.
there's a team around you.
Yeah.
And you let them do what they do. But Yvette continues to say this platform was a great opportunity for the president to show his intelligence, that he is able to think out of the box, and that he has the youth concerns at heart, but instead the advisors that was with the president make a better president as to the way they have answered the questions compared to the president.
Can I just say on that, I don't like the narrative that the more rah-rah you are, the more intelligent you are. I also don't like, whatever else your position on the president is, I don't like the narrative that we don't have a smart president. He was part of even drafting the constitution you speak about today. And if you understand the history, his involvement in, as a drafter and so forth, you don't get to where you are being stupid. Of course, sometimes it's just how you speak and present things. Some people might think I'm smart or Neville's smart or you're smart, based on how you speak, but maybe the question is, are you as well versed? And I think he's well versed.
And Maria, can I please just ask you, why did you have to today use the words rah-rah? Don't you think it's too soon?
We saw things on rah-rah.
Huh? Why can't you use other words than rah-rah?
No, it's been ongoing. We always say rah-rah.
He doesn't know what we're talking about.
But you know what rah-rah is? It's just when you have an accent. We call it rah-rah.
Oh, shines.
Yeah, rah-rah. Yeah, guys, shout out as a rah-rah.
Bring people, bring you up to speed. There's a voice clip of Saki saying that, everybody out there likes to say that I just keep on rah-rahing.
Because he was asked, are you corrupt or not? He says, no, I'm not. Because, some people think I'm corrupt because of my rah-rah.
Yeah, because of my rah-rah.
Ay, man. Okay. Yeah, Maria did come out by a rah.
Oh, child.
You are just jealous. We have so many comments, guys. I'm not
Yeah,
going
we're
to get
not.
through
And
all of them.
yeah, studio time is up.
I just wanted to say, maybe just from my side, to the youth out there, same thing that I tell my sons. You can't define your life through what is happening at Chopsy's on a weekly basis.
No chopsy slender will be allowed on this show.
Nah. There are way more to life than Chopsy's and Cabistro, as a belief.
It's true.
Get part, get yourself, there must be some small projects that somehow get you involved into, how the political landscape is formed in Namibia at your, on youth level, that you can, just start, slowly delve into. Get into programs like that. See what happens on the ground.
Yeah, and to add to that, I'll just quickly make a very quick distinction. Like, for example, the thing I liked about Kenya and going to Kenya, and what I saw there is that the youths are so involved in trying to find ways to make their own money. They're on a hustle. That there is very little time for like going to party and sitting and bar and engaging. They're like trying to say, like, how can I, for example, a chicken farm. I can get into chicken farm. I can deliver chicken at people's houses when they want. They don't have to leave. I can go to a Lisanam that doesn't have a supermarket and deliver fresh chicken to a house, like plucked and everything, obviously. We don't want running chickens. But there's constant ways, or like they're making things out of recyclable materials and selling that. It's just youth is constantly on that hustle, which keeps them so fresh and so engaged and so energized that there's very little for the negative stuff. And then sometimes that's one way we can look at it. Just find a passion, and just sometimes you don't get funding for it, but find ways to just hustle. It keeps you fresh and engaged and energized.
I think the documentary that I watched the other night, on the fishing scandal,
Fish rot, as they call
the
it.
fish rots, whatever. One of the comments that one of those directors from Iceland said is that they quickly realized, let me say this slowly. One of the directors of the Icelandic fishing company said, when they set foot in Namibia, they quickly realized how lazy Namibians are. We let other people come and do things for us.
Yeah, so I heard that laser comment.
Yeah.
And it hurt, but it was partly true.
It hurt, but sometimes I had to sit there.
Partly true.
I had to swallow that one because Maria was it makkelijk.
I see some of you guys asking in the comments whether you can still register to vote. No.
You say this, you say when the youth is not informed.
Yes, it's a bit late. You can wait.
Very late.
You can probably register for next year's local government.
Not even that. That registration process ended, I think, 3 weeks ago.
Is it? Well, my bad. Well, in closing, I just want to say, like, Neville, you were referencing how the youth are defining their lives through, these parties like Hanang with Chopsies, and they've got this dope private schools and this dope sporting activities. I'm trying to speak their language. This dope tennis tournaments that they play. Here's the thing: without an effective government, all those things are in jeopardy. There could be no Chopsies for you to go to. True. Your schools could be messed up. Your hospitals could be messed up. Like you could be living in a state where basically you can't move around freely, or there's not enough food in the shops, there's not enough petrol in the service stations. So
Zimbabwe 2.0.
Yes, exactly. and it's very easy to slide. I mean, at one point Zimbabwe was the breadbasket of SADC, and it was not a civil war, it was just a political breakdown in the system. So it is very easy for even a country as peaceful and stable as Namibia to slide into that situation. So you guys, the youth, you are basically the cornerstone of our democracy, and you need to understand how important it is for you guys to participate.
A politician.
I'm also I'm launching my political campaign here. In 2024, I will be an independent candidate for LPM. All right, guys, let's get out of here.
Luister, ek wil net sê, and to everybody out there, that it is the 19th of November today. It is World Men's Day today. It's the day for all men out there. So, Maria, I expect you to make me lunch today. You must honor me today as a man.
Het jy nie 'n vrou nie?
Nee, ek het nie vir jou gevra, jy moet vir my kom vra of ek 'n vrou is.
Moenie worry oor my vrou.
Ja,
nie.
los-
Sy sê hier nie.
Ja. Los my vrou uit hierdie
I like your wife. You know those things, they can cause division amongst women. Me man's board skip. You know, hey, women fight over that stuff.
Next thing you come home en jy gaan sê gaan eet by Maria.
So, Maria, all I'm just asking on behalf of all men, please just bow down to us today. Be submissive today. Don't
Is that what
backchat.
happens on Men's Day?
Don't back chat today. Don't rah today.
Did you tell your wife this before you left the house? Salop is so funny.
You should have recorded that conversation.
I didn't even know that there's such a day as
I don't even know why they
Men's Day.
have it.
Ay, mukuru wat jy. Hoor hierdie vrou wat vra hierdie
You
vrou.
guys are already empowered. What do you still need?
We need to be pampered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Anyway,
guys.
happy Men's Day, whatever that means. Yeah, enjoy, guys.
Just
Ja,
never.
is al vals, Maria.
Me, I'm waiting for Mother's Day. I'll also get them back. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Hannes Kaufman is keeping you company up next on In the Mix. Stick with Informanté Radio.